Hey guys, welcome to my part 2 of my 11.1 fire guide. This one covers Frostfire Unleashed Inferno. You might be asking yourself, well, what about Frostfire SKB? Why are we not playing Frostfire SKB? Why are we playing Frostfire Unleashed Inferno? Because Blizzard hates SKB apparently. So SKB just sucks even with Frostfire. It's significantly weaker. There's no situation where you'd play it pretty much. Frostfire can now be played with UI, Unleashed Inferno. So let's get right into it. The rotation compared to our Frostfire or our Sun Fury Unleashed Inferno is actually very similar. It's just a little bit extra conditions in our requirements for casting spells and combustion. And what you'll notice is that you're out of combustion a lot more, like a lot more. You do a lot more filler. Also, you have Meteor. So our opener is going to be the same thing. Pyro PF. I'm going to Lust. Now, with Frostfire, you have Meteor. So you can actually use Meteor to enter your combustions. So instead of doing the whole Fireball combust IB pyro pyro thing, you can actually just enter your combustion by just pressing Meteor, and then when the GCD is almost ready, press combust. If you have Lust, you can Meteor Fireball still, because Fireball is so fast that you can combust pretty early in the cast and still have it all fit and land most of your Common Storm. So you'll see me do it here. I'll Meteor, Fireball, and then I'll combust already, right? Halfway through the cast. I actually press it kind of late here. But yeah, don't do that. Alright, as for our rotation in Frostfire UI, very simple. It's the same thing. At the very beginning, slam all your fire blasts, no matter what, just use up all your fire blasts, as you'll see here. You'll run out of fire blasts a lot quicker than you do on Unleashed Inferno, or on Sun Fury, sorry, because we don't have Glorious Incandescence. So, we're going to move down the prior list a lot earlier. The next step below Fire Blast is to use Phoenix Flame if you have excess frost. So for me, excess frost is this little buff here, this buff bar. Excess frost is obtained from either casting Frost Firebolt or if you cast Fire Blast with excess fire, which is what you get from casting Meteor. But yeah, just get a good weak aura, figure out how your buffs work. Yeah, but so yeah, IB's first, and then after IB, it's PF with excess frost. So see me cast PF here. And then if you don't have IBs again, obviously, right? You're gonna go down to the next step, which is Frost Firebolt, the instant Frost Firebolt. So I'm gonna press that, Pyro, and then my PF was up before my IB, so I'm gonna press PF. I'm not gonna wait 1.2 seconds or whatever IB, right? Don't have downtime. So I'm gonna PF Pyro here, and I'm gonna IB Pyro here, and then I Frost Firebolted there. I actually could have PF'd, I just didn't realize, but it's okay, not a big deal. Honestly, those two are a little bit exchangeable as long as you're not wasting Frost Firebolt stacks or excess Frost stacks, sorry, because it can stack up to 2 now, not just 1, and I only had 1, so it's fine. But typically cast PF with excess frost before Frost Firebolt. The main reasoning is because we want to use that cooldown reduction to see if we can get Meteor off cooldown before combustion ends. That's usually why that rule exists as a go-to. Okay. Ignore that podcast. Hee. Once we exit our combust, we want to go into shifting pretty much. I press 1 PF here. I actually should have pressed 2 just to put it on cooldown a little bit more. Not a big deal. Completely okay with what I did here. Pyro. Now I have Meteor again after my shifting. Meteor, very simple rule. How do we use it? If you're in combust, you press it as long as combust will last until the meteor lands, which is exactly 2 GCDs, which for Frostfire is roughly 2 seconds. So if there's 2 seconds or more left of combust, you can press meteor. And outside of combustion, you can press it as long as you don't have 2 excess fire stacks. Okay? Simple as. It doesn't matter what the cooldown of combust is, you can just press the meteor. Alright? The main reason why we don't want to save meteor for our combustion, like really hard or anything like that, is because Meteor does not actually benefit from Unleashed Inferno's damage buff. It only benefits from the combustion crit. So all our other spells are getting this like plus 70% damage, but Meteor doesn't, which is why the value relative is a bit weaker, right? That's why we're more okay with casting Meteor on cooldown. Anyway, after the Meteor's out of the way, we just go back to our regular filler. So like I talked about in the previous video, we're going to press PFs first and foremost. Try to always use PFs as like pairs, right? Either it's like PF IB Pyro, PF PF Pyro, or like PF FFB Pyro. You just want to make sure that you have 2 ways of getting 2 guaranteed crits before we actually fire one of them, because it would suck if we use one of them and not have a way to convert that heating up we get into a hot streak, right? For me here, I have 2 Phoenix Slam. So I'm just gonna press PF Pyro, and I'm just gonna spam Frost Firebolt until I crit, and then I'm gonna IB Pyro. Why don't I PF again here? Well, because humanly, it's not easy to react to like the Pyro landing before your GCD is ready. So after a Pyro, just always just start casting a Fireball, right? That makes sense. And now I'm starting to cast Fireballs. I have a PF here. I don't have Heating Up, so I can cast it, right? If I have Heating Up, you cannot cast it. Wrong, very bad to cast it when you have Heating Up. Reason being is, if Fireball and PF both crit while you have Heating Up, then you lost the Heating Up, right? Alternatively, there's a bug with PF where the travel time can slightly differ based on the duration or the distance from the target. And basically, there's a world where PF travels slower than Frost Firebolt or Fireball. And if that happens, and then the Fireball or Frost Fireball don't crit, then you'll go Heating Up, no Heating Up, and then PF lands, and that gives you Heating Up, which is like, what the fuck just happened? That's why you never cast it with Heating Up. It's only when you don't have Heating Up. Here I should be casting it. What I'm actually doing is I'm waiting just because I see 24 stacks, so I want to wait for 25. You don't have to think about this. It doesn't actually exist in the sim or anything. It's just a habit I've built up. Good or not, I'm not sure. But yeah. Anyway, I Fireball PF. After the Fireball PF, usually you want to start casting another Fireball because you don't actually know whether you're going to get this hot streak or not, right? Because the thing is, me getting that hot streak depends on the PF critting, obviously, which is always going to happen, plus the Frost Firebolt critting. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. So instead of reacting to it, we want to maintain uptime, right? So you just start casting another Frost Firebolt. Fortunately, because I'm really close to the target, and Fire Mage in general wants to be close to the target, I can recognize that my spell crits before my GCD is actually ready, so I get to throw out my Pyro. But if I don't get to react like that because I'm farther from the target, then I would just Fireball PF, Fireball, and then it's either Pyro or IB Pyro, right? Depending on what happened. I'm overcapped on IBs there, so I'm just slamming 1 PF, 1 IB Pyro, just to put it on cooldown. And then I'm spamming my Fireball, and then I get another PF, so I'm just going to use that. And then I get another IB. I wouldn't have pressed this PF if my Combustion was closer, because I don't want to waste IBs before Combustion, right? But because I see Combustion is like 8 seconds, my IB is full, almost, so I'm okay with spending 1 here. But now I'm not okay anymore, right? Now I don't want to spend anymore. So this Heating Up, this is gonna die. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Having it for Combustion is more important. I get the lucky crit. Fantastic. Remember, if you don't let your Heating Up die, you're never giving yourself the chance to proc this lucky back-to-back. This like classic Pyroblast, you know? I'm gonna do something a little weird here. You don't have to do this. This is not a DPS gain, nor is it DPS loss. So if you want to do this, by all means. If you have Combustion in like 1 to 2 seconds and you have a hot streak, you actually don't need to spend the hot streak. I decide not to spend it. What this does is it just smooths out your entry into Combust a little bit, which is why I choose to do it. And then this way I can just enter with a Pyro straight away. No IBs needed, nothing like that. Once again, slamming IBs. I'm out of IBs. I have Excess Frost and I have PF. My Meteor is almost off cooldown. So maybe one could argue that I should have Frost Firebolted first, because I'm not going to overcap on Excess Frost, because it goes to 2, right? And I only have 1. So maybe I could have Frost Firebolted, Pyroed, or Frost Firebolted, Meteor, Pyro, then PF, just to get value out of the CDR. Because right now this PF is kind of wasting the 5-second CDR. Not a big deal. The sim doesn't do what I talked about with Frost Firebolting first, so it's okay if you don't. You're not going to lose tons of damage or anything like that. So it's okay to just stick by the general rules. As soon as my Meteor though is ready, you can see I have more than 2 seconds left in Combust, so I'm going to press Meteor, and then I'm going to Pyro. My IBs are up, so I'm going to press my IBs. I'm out of IBs. What's next on the Pyro list? PF with E-Frost. I'm going to press that. And then I'm out of Combustion. I have Frost Firebolt, so I'm going to press that. I'm going to use the Pyro. Now I have 2 excess Frost, 2 excess Fire, 1 excess Frost. I know I have 2 because I put a glow on my weak aura when there's 2. So now I'm thinking, okay, well I have 1 PF. I need to pair the PF with something else, right? So we're going to PF IB Pyro here. And then I'm going to Frost Firebolt Pyro. Okay? You could have just fired off the Pyro if you wanted. It's just a good habit to always get into, like, just always cast Frost Firebolts. Okay? Frost Firebolt Pyro. Okay, right here, once again, there's no way for me to react to this crit or not, right? Both of those, like the Fireball Pyro, could have gotten me 0 crits. In which case, I would have had to cast a Fireball. But if one of them crits, no way for me to know because I'm, not super close to the target. So I'm just gonna fireball again. I had heating up, so you can't PF, right? So you let the heating up die. That's okay. But I fireball again. I don't crit. Unlucky. It's fine. The heating up dies. No big deal. But I'm casting my next fireball with no heating up, so now I can PF. So fireball PF, fireball IB pyro. This time I do recognize that my 2 didn't crit, so I'm gonna PF on the heating up. My pyro crits, I recognize that. I actually didn't recognize that, it seems. So I'm just fireballing again. So this is actually a good thing. Think of it like this. You might be thinking, well, Forgy, what if you stand closer? Would you react to the heating ups? And then wouldn't that be a DPS gain because you're not letting heating ups die? No, it wouldn't. It's a very important thing to recognize that letting heating ups die is not a DPS loss because the tools you're using to convert these heating ups into hot streaks are limited resources, right? So we don't actually have a way to say that we have infinite IBs or PFs. So as long as I'm not overcapping PF or IB, why does it matter? Every PF, every IB is one conversion from heating up to hot streak. Whether that conversion is now or in 2 seconds, it's the same thing. If I let that heating up die by accident, but then I convert a later one, then I'm still converting with one of them. If I didn't let the first heating up die and I converted that one, then I use my only PF and then let's say I crit. Well, now I'm letting another heating up die anyway, so it doesn't actually matter, right? It's okay to let heating up die. Don't be allergic to it. Anyway, here, yeah, I get a proc of yeah, no, sorry, I got cut off. Anyway, here, yeah, I get a proc of combustion, so I'm just gonna go straight into it. I interrupt my cast kind of bad. If you interrupt it really, really, really early, it's okay, but try not to get into the habit of it. Hard casting Frost, Firebolt, and Combustion is actually not that bad, by the way, at all. There is actually a very viable rotation where you can just hard cast a bunch of Frost, Firebolts, and Combusts. So you don't need to feel like you need to do this, okay? Now, notice I'm not casting Meteor here because I don't have 2 seconds or more in my Combust. If I reacted earlier, maybe I could have, but yeah. Anyway, throw out my Meteor now because I'm out. I only had 1 excess fire, so it's okay. And then I have shifting, so I'm going to press shifting, IB, PF right out of shifting, right, because we can. And I'm going to fireball pyro. I PF because combustion is close, so I'm setting myself up to enter combustion again. And a fireball, combust, IB pyro, pyro. And then back into the rotation, right? Just IB pyro, PF with excess frost, or if I don't have excess frost, it's FFB, like now. Oh, look, I have my IBs again, so I'm going to use one of them. Oh, look, I have PF with excess frost again. I'm going to press that. Oh, look, I have Meteor, but combustion is less than 2 seconds, so we're not going to cast it. Okay? And then as soon as I'm out of combustion, I can cast it. Yeah, pretty basic. It's not super hard. The biggest tips I will give you is really focus on, obviously nail your combust rotation, but it's pretty simple. But outside of that, maintain full uptime outside your combustion and inside your combustion. But a lot of people have really awkward moments in their filler. Getting good filler is pretty valuable, okay? Don't mess up your filler, don't have downtime. Really master the idea of how to use PFs first, dump them, and then how to handle PFs when you get them back while you're in a fireball chain, okay? Super, super valuable. And then after that, obviously, make sure you're holding IBs for your combustions. Save your IBs for combustion. Do I need to save PF for combustion? No, you can just throw out your PFs willy-nilly. It's okay. Obviously, as long as you're using them properly. But it's okay to use them outside of combustion. All right, cool. Execute, nothing super, super fancy. There are some super niche rules about how to use Scorch, but in general, you can just use Scorch in Execute instead of Frostfire Bolt. In Frostfire specifically, you want to actually, it's more important to maintain the buff outside of combustion. You definitely don't want to maintain it in combustion, okay? You can skip Scorch in combustion, to maintain the buff. But yeah, technically it is a very, very minor gain, though pretty awkward, to only Scorch to refresh your improved Scorch debuff and not actually use it as a filler, but also refresh your buff pretty aggressively, like half duration or something. It's super minor. You can just ignore that and just use it as a filler if you want. It's completely okay. You're gonna lose like 0.2% DPS, something irrelevant. Alright? Yeah. Um, that's pretty much it. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, about weak aura rotation. Make sure you join the Discord if you haven't already. Great community and a great vibes, lots of friends. Yeah, I'll see you next time. Peace.